jack it up.
Hurts keeps, Hurts cuts, Hurts has the first down, and Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers are going to win this game. Joel, tough turnaround in the lane. Another 30-10 performance for Joel Embiid.
Hurts connects with Devontae Smith.
Hello, welcome back to 215 Scoop. I hope you're enjoying your 3-day weekend thus far. Asher, how you doing?
Good. We got a good college football slate this weekend. I just watched the Pitt West Virginia game last night.
Yeah,
It's the classic right there. The Penn State game was great.
I'm at Penn State. Yeah, I'm at Penn State. There was there was this huge watch party going on downtown. But the most notable thing was after the game, again, we beat Purdue. Purdue isn't that good, but we were celebrating as if the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not joking. Downtown.
It's a Big Ten rival for you guys, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But Purdue has always been doo-doo. So I always called them Purdue-doo. But it was really close. I mean, they had the lead up until like about less than 2 minutes left to go in the game. And Sean Clifford somehow put shit together, and we won like 35-31. But my point is last night I got a text message at like 1:15 saying there's unlawful actions going on downtown. And I saw videos like people are climbing up poles, hanging on the streets. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it was legitimately just like Philly after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So this is Penn State after a week 1 victory against an unranked team.
Yeah, going 1-0 against a team that hasn't been ranked. It has just been ass, you know.
It's funny.
But whatever. That was interesting. And they also said, if you have to leave or else you'd be arrested.
I think I saw that text, like someone put that on their story or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
Paul Allen. You know Paul Allen?
Yes.
Yeah. He played volleyball with you, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was on his story because I have him on Snap. But
that's probably
anyway, not too much Sixers content to cover today. We're mainly just going to be going over, obviously, the recent trade that happened between the Cavs and the Javs. Mitchell is headed to Cleveland, and Colin Sexton is headed over to Utah.
Along with a lot of picks. And
there's also a lot of picks
players.
Well. Yeah.
But yeah, and then almost as not almost as interesting, but also in the news is a no trade where it looks like KD and the Nets front office have kind of ironed things out. So it looks like he's staying in Brooklyn at least one more year. So we'll be talking about that as well.
Yeah, that too. There's a little. We went to a deep dive last episode about the whole KD situation, but you know, as it turns out, he's not going anywhere. But you know, I don't think that's going to change much there. I think he's going to be very disgruntled. But we'll talk about that later. But overall, today we're going to be focusing on just an Eastern Conference off-season overview, what we can expect this upcoming season. So Asher, what do you have in mind for today?
Yeah, so there's this. First of all, let me just plug an Instagram page real quick. NBA In Depth. If you're into basketball on Instagram, you like the NBA, that's probably the best Instagram page that I found for the NBA. Just really in-depth analysis, as the name would suggest. Like, definitely some stuff. It's crazy that like people put so much work into that stuff, and you just get to see it for free on these social media platforms. Mm-hmm. But so he had a post there that said there are 9 teams in the Eastern Conference that probably have a good shot at, if they make the playoffs, winning a playoff series. Like you wouldn't be surprised if they won a playoff series. Mm-hmm. That is the Boston Celtics, the 76ers, the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Atlanta Hawks, who just traded for DeJounte Murray this offseason, so they got even better after making the playoffs last year. The Toronto Raptors, who we saw in the first round last year. The Miami Heat, who knocked us out in the second round this year. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who, as we said, just traded for superstar Donovan Mitchell, so they got even better after just missing the playoffs last year. and then the Chicago Bulls. So as we know, only 8 teams can make the playoffs in the conference. So there's going to be a lot of pushing and shoving in this standings. Going to be a lot of drama. It looks like going to be a fun Eastern Conference playoff race to watch. So one of these teams is going to be on the outs.
Yeah. Do you have any clue who you would choose to be on the outs? I think the Sixers, the Heat, the Celtics, those are kind of like givens. Wow. They're going to be in that top 5.
And the Bucks as well. Did you say that?
Top 6 season seeding.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of how they play out, because 3 of those teams are going to be in the play-in. So that's going to be really interesting. You're going to see what that is, it an 8-9 matchup and a 9-10. So that 8-9 matchup I expect to be pretty interesting. One of those teams aren't gonna make it. I think it'll come down to like, I don't know, Asher.
I think the 2 teams that I would put lowest out of those 9 would be Atlanta and Toronto. I think that even though Atlanta has Trey, Clint Capella, John Collins, and DeJounte Murray, their depth is like very weak. Like when those guys come out, it's just not going to be a playoff level team.
Yeah, and then there's the Raptors as well, who they're a physical team.
Yeah, we saw that for sure.
I mean, we played them in the first round. They beat the shit out of Embiid, so whatever. But
I think they could stick with anyone, and I think they proved that in the playoffs. But I just don't think they have the star power to compete with the other 7 teams that we have listed in the East.
Yeah, I just think there's too many teams that we can probably definitely say. I don't think it'd be really very debatable who are better than the Raptors.
Yeah. I mean, could they come in as like a 7 seed out of the play-in and shock the 2 seed?
Yeah, I mean, they could. They're one of those teams. It reminds me of, like, if you watch baseball. I know we don't talk baseball on here, but it's like the St. Louis Cardinals from the early 2010s. When they beat the Phils, and they've kind of had a history of kind of being that team. Last year they did it in the MLB season. They got hired right before the playoffs, and they were kind of one of those dangerous teams you always have to look out for. Now, again, I don't know. I know we don't really talk about baseball, but I know plenty of you out there actually watch it, so you'll understand. But absolutely, I think that the Raptors are always going to be a team to look out for. I don't know how the COVID mandate's going to continue. I don't know if it's still there, but that might be a factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say that was a factor when we played them in the playoffs as well. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. But
yeah, as far as who's going to be at the top of the East, it really pains me to say this, but I think the Celtics adding Brogdon should make them the favorite to finish out on top. Not represent the East in the NBA Finals, but I would say they're probably up there for top seed in the East.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting just how many of the top teams in the East, like only the Celtics made it to the NBA Finals. Only one team in the East can make it to the NBA Finals. So a lot of teams finished last season in a disappointing way, us included. And all those top teams decided to run it back one more time. The Bucks are still Giannis and Chris Middleton. We're still Embiid and Harden. Turns out the Nets are going to keep Durant, so they're running Durant, not Kyrie, back one more time. The Heat still have Jimmy and Bam Adebayo. So it's a lot of teams where the superstars have been playing together. I mean, not a whole lot of movement as far as the role players go. So a lot of teams have had a couple seasons to gel.
Yeah, exactly. And another team you got to mention about being like really disappointing, and that we all expected them to be actually up there, was the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. They were a dumpster fire, and I mean, they got swept in the playoffs after having expectations of making it past the semifinals, like they failed to do so 2 years ago. But I don't know. It's just after. Sorry, I had a long ass day, bro. Like, I had a long ass day.
No, I mean, you're right on. The Nets were the title favorite, I believe, going into the season last year. If not them, then the Lakers.
You got to note that even after the Ben Simmons trade, they were still favored to win the title, which is something that is beyond me.
And they did get swept without Ben Simmons. He didn't play a game for them, so we don't know what that team looks with him. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they win. Maybe they go lose 4-1 in that series if Simmons plays. I don't know, but
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Ben Simmons. The thing is with the Sixers that a lot of people might miss out on is the fact that his role is going to be pretty different between the two. Like in Brooklyn, he's going to be more of a. I mean, I don't think he's going to be expected to do much. For us, he was more of like he was supposed to be our number 2 option or our number 1 option. We kept on expecting him to play like that, as opposed to Brooklyn. They already have their 1 and 2 and KD and Kyrie. He just needs to pass the ball, go for the layup, dribble inside, do what he does. He doesn't really need to push himself to shoot a 3-pointer or make all of his free throws. Obviously, he needs to improve in both aspects, but it's obviously I think it's going to be a different look there in Brooklyn.
And I mean, it's not. I don't think anyone would say it's crazy to say that he's soft, like he's soft. So for him to go from that pressure-filled situation where he's the number 2 player and he has to play like a superstar for us to succeed, to go into Brooklyn where he has 2 NBA champions in front of him who are still at the top of their game, and you're right, all he really has to do is pass the ball, play defense. These are things he knows how to do. Doesn't have a lot of pressure. I think that he's going to take a step up in his game this year just because he doesn't have to deal with the mental stuff. Like, I'm in Philly, everyone's relying on me. I think he's sort of crumbled under that weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's no denying how soft that guy is. It's overall just disappointing. I don't know. My brain is
ran about that for like 4 episodes straight.
Yeah, exactly. There's really not much more to say, to be honest, about him, all that. I don't know. I just want to move on. But who else do we have to really touch on? Oh, another thing about the East. We can't forget about the Charlotte Hornets. They're also a name that gets thrown into the conversation. I really think outside of the Hornets and those 9 teams that we really just named up, I think it's going to be those 10 teams competing for playoff spots come the end of the year. I really don't think that. Yeah. I mean, there's nobody below the Magic, not the Magic, below the Hornets that I can really envision, competing for even, the 8th spot in the playoffs, especially with how deep it is.
I mean, maybe the Hornets out of the bottom 6 teams outside of the top 9 that we talked about are definitely the favorite to get that 10th spot in the play-in. But whatever team gets that 10th spot in the play-in is not making the playoffs.
Yeah. You know what I feel bad for? Magic fans. I don't know. I feel like they're going through what we as Sixers fans went through back then. They just got this hot rookie and now he's out for the season. And it's a pretty dramatic injury. I forgot, was it an Achilles?
Is this
This is. Oh crap! I'm thinking about.
You're talking about the Thunder, but I'm going to take that train and keep it on the rails because the Magic are definitely. I think they were sort of going through the process that we were going through without and they just haven't seen the light at the end of the tunnel.
No.
We picked Joel Embiid, we picked Ben Simmons. Things started to go up. We attracted priority free agents. JJ Redick came over. Our team started to be competitive. Mm-hmm. They've just been in the process for 10 years now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the playoffs is a 7th or 8th seed a couple times and just get swept. So I also feel very bad for Magic fans. Hopefully Jabari Smith is the answer. Oh no, it's Banchero there?
Yes, Banchero. Yep. Jabari Smith.
He's in Houston. But yeah, I mean the Magic are on the up and up. The Pistons are on the up and up. This isn't their year though. This isn't the year they make the playoffs.
No, not yet. They still got a lot of work.
Indiana's declining. Bradley Beal just can't pull the rest of the Wizards roster to the playoffs. And maybe they make that 10th spot over the Hornets. Who really cares?
Okay, the Bradley Beal thing, dude. I don't know. It's aggravating. I don't know why he would want to be there. I know he's getting paid a boatload of money, but I think you get that money elsewhere and also succeed. I don't know what his attachment is to that place because it's just him. You know, there's
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a part of him probably enjoys like just scoring 30 points and everyone saying free Bradley Beal, because like there's a bit of freedom in that, whereas when you get traded to a contender and disappoint,
hmm
all of a sudden everyone's yelling at you, even though he'd be scoring 20 points per game on the Lakers, and everyone's gonna say, well, he missed the last shot, LeBron
yeah.
needs more help, Bradley Beal sucks, whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I guess there is that factor. You got a point there. But Asher, I think that's really it for today. I mean, is there anything else you really wanted to touch on?
Just maybe a little look at where we think the Sixers are gonna finish, how our chances are looking.
Yeah,
Talk
I
about the rest of the
we
Eastern
we
juggernauts.
yeah, we talked about that briefly when we did our offseason breakdown and like what we want to
Right.
expect from this team. For the Sixers, honestly, as I'm happy with top four. I mean, as far as my expectations personally, I think the Sixers are still going to be a 55 win team, around that ballpark. But really, what this comes down to, this entire season comes down to like 3 games in the second round. That's all. Like,
Yeah.
that's the big question: is did we do enough to get past the second round? That's really all that matters with this season. I could care less if we get the first seed, if we get the fourth seed. Hell, I mean, we drop the five, make the playoffs, and anything can happen. And the team, for me, if we're going to talk about legitimate expectations, I'm expecting them to probably be third seed, fourth seed. That's,
Okay.
I mean, that's really all. But personally, I don't really care.
I guess another question would be, have the Cavs leapfrogged us with that Donovan Mitchell trade?
That's
They're
That's just
young.
something you gotta wait and see how everything works out. See how Donovan Mitchell meshes with the Cavs. We got to see how our rotations are gonna look with PJ Tucker there. Are we gonna? I mean, it looks like we're gonna be starting him. I mean, I'm not quite sure, but
Yeah, Toby at the 3, PJ at the 4.
yeah. So we have to see. Last time we put Toby at the 3, didn't quite work out.
Yeah, offense was very stagnant.
Exactly. That was the Al Horford days, right?
That was the bubble
Yeah.
playoff. Got swept by the Celtics. Not a fun year.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I got Al Horford vibes from signing PJ Tucker. I'm not gonna lie, just some
Yeah.
old guy that's always been
Yeah.
dominating against us, and he's just like big and old and bald.
Yeah. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, for the Cavs, and the Sixers, that just comes down how it plays out on the court. That's how I think it.
I think if I could just give a kind of off the top of my head prediction, I would say Heat, Bucks, Celtics finish ahead of us. Maybe the Cavs grab the 4 seed and we grab the 5 seed, or we grab the 4 seed and the Cavs grab the 5 seed. I feel like I would almost expect a Cavs Sixers first round matchup,
Yeah.
which is that's a tough draw. Donovan Mitchell is a proven playoff performer, but I mean that team didn't make the playoffs this year. They're still very young, very inexperienced. They have the talent, but I think that we would win out in a tough battle on that one,
Yeah.
and then it's on to that dreaded second round. And
Yeah, exactly.
past it.
Yeah. Yeah, that first round matchup against the Cavs would definitely be rough, but I think the team that wins that series is whoever had the most momentum going into the playoffs. Honestly, I mean, we know that there's a break between the end of the regular season now and the playoffs because of the play-in, but at the same time, I think we would definitely have the edge. I think we'd probably win in 6 or 7 games, just like you said.
Yeah, definitely be a fun series to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, but another thing we got to think about is, what do you think the Sixers' ceiling is this year, as far as the regular season and where we place and everything?
Where we place?
Yeah,
2 seed.
you would say 2 seed. Who ahead of
2
us?
seed?
The Celtics?
Not, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily put a specific team. I would say I think the Heat, Celtics, and Bucks could all finish ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's probably unavoidable that Harden or Embiid misses a few games and we go on a little losing streak at some point in the season.
Yeah.
Because, they're both pretty injury prone at this point in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Embiid's always been in Harden at this point.
I think absolute best case scenario, I think 1 seed. I would say 1 seed. That's like if Tyrese Maxey takes another step in his game like he did last year, he just turns into like a notable like upcoming
All-star level
superstar,
player.
like all-star caliber.
Yeah.
Like just another huge jump in his numbers and everything. PJ Tucker fits in great. He stays healthy. Running Toby at the 3 works out fine. I guess there was something weird about Al Horford's game that just didn't really mesh. Who knows if that works out? I mean, if everything falls for the Sixers, I think definitely we could see 60 wins and a first seed in the East.
You're right. I guess I was ignoring the best case scenario part because in the best case scenario, Embiid or Harden wouldn't get injured.
Well,
I think
it
doesn't happen. This team definitely has the talent. 60 wins.
Well, if we're thinking realistically, like I think first seed is still a realistic ceiling. That's including Embiid being out for 5-10 games, maybe 15.
Mm-hmm.
That's Harden being out for however many games with whatever injuries he might be dealing with.
And the load management is crazy.
Yeah, and like being hungover and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all going to happen. But I think Daryl Morey has done a good job, building some depth, in the Sixers roster. It's not going to be like last year where if we want one of our starters missing, we're like we're absolute dog shit. I think it's going to be a different story this year.
So yeah, the Sixers are fun to watch. The Eastern Conference is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. If you're not a huge basketball fan, I would say this is the year to get into it. A lot of parity in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Superstars on pretty much every team, except for now the Jazz.
Yeah, the poor Jazz and getting absolutely fleeced. Yeah, we gotta touch on that. What do you think about Donovan Mitchell being on the Cavs? Like, what do you think that's gonna look like?
I feel like it just happened yesterday at the time of recording. I feel like I haven't really had enough time to process it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting backcourt tandem with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. They're both very ball dominant, very high usage. The thing is, Garland is more of a playmaker and Donovan Mitchell is more of a scorer. So, maybe that kind of works out in like a Kyrie, James Harden thing where nobody said that was going to work because they're so ball dominant. And when they were playing together, it looked pretty good. My
question is the Cavs offense has always been run like pretty evenly. Like you can't name a specific guy that the offense like really, really runs around. Now, bringing Donovan Mitchell into the picture, do you think just like he was in Utah, he's like kind of like the centerpiece of that offense?
Definitely. I think the Cavs knew that they had the right pieces around Mitchell. They have Jared Allen, who doesn't really touch the ball except for when he's getting lobs thrown to him. Darius Garland, like I said, he gets the ball a lot, but he's a good passer. He looks to pass more than he does to score. Maybe we see Mitchell turn a little bit more off-ball cutting and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very good shooter. He gets to want to catch and shoot instead of shoot off the dribble. So,
yeah, I think I love the move for Cleveland. For Utah, I thought they really fumbled the trade. I think they could have gotten a little bit more, if I'm being honest.
It's definitely possible. I think the Jazz just really wanted to make sure that they got some first-round picks in the near future because I think they're looking at. I don't know if you know about Victor Wembanyama.
Yes, I've heard of the name. I've read about it on Instagram and on several articles. But
so I think they're all in on getting that first pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely looks like it.
Yeah. So some exciting NBA news lately. Just a blockbuster trade, but that pretty much wraps us up here with our Eastern Conference offseason review and then breaking down that trade. Well, thank you guys for watching today. You guys can subscribe down below, hit the notification bell. You follow us on TikTok, Instagram. It's all right down below our faces. But thank you. Have a good Labor Day weekend. Don't party too hard.
We'll see you guys for an Eagles episode.
Yeah.